Welcome in episode 35 of the Print Fest DFS podcast. My name is Justin Rue, alongside Scott Bandy. We're here to break down the Week 6 Draftkings main slate. Scott, what is going on?
What's going on, man? It's an interesting slate. There's a ton of news coming out today. Slate where finally we get some good running back spots. The last few weeks it's been all receivers and running backs been ugly. This week it's the complete opposite. So I think running back is going to determine who gets the money this week. So let's dig into it.
Yeah, I think there's like 10 running backs in play. Maybe, for cash, probably 10 running backs in play. There's like one quarterback, maybe two. There's like 8 wide receivers and there's like 2 tight ends. So pretty tight at the other positions outside of running back. So let's just start at quarterback where the top play on the slate is Lamar Jackson at 7,400. He's at home in a fast-paced game with the high total taking on the Chargers. The Ravens have a 26 and a half. I think it's up to 27 now implied total. Lamar is just absolutely crushing. He's averaging 29.2 DraftKings points per game. He's coming off of back-to-back games where he's threw for over 300 yards. He's done that for the first time in his career. He's averaging 9.1 yards per attempt. I mean, he's absolutely balling. His ADOT is 11.1. It's the highest in the league. So he's just dropping back and slinging deep. So what we love with our quarterbacks is when they throw deep and they run. He does both of those at the highest rate in the league. He has the highest ADOT and he's averaging 68 rushing yards per game this season. It's not a great matchup taking on the Chargers. So they're a solid defense that kind of limit deep balls. And we know Lamar likes to throw deep balls. So it's kind of like a strength on strength matchup. But he should be over 8K. He just absolutely dismantled Indianapolis on Monday night. So he's completely matchup proof. 7,400 is too cheap.
Yeah, I don't know what happened with DraftKings and the 7.4 price tag. That is really bad. Like Herbert 7.3, Rodgers 7.2, Dak 7.1. Like I don't know what the heck they did here, but yeah, the Ravens are pretty much prioritizing the pass because the running game's been so bad. Between the run blocking on the offensive line has been terrible. Ronnie Stanley hasn't been playing. Villanueva is terrible. I mean, he's just god awful to watch. And then the running backs just haven't been good either because they're all washed up. So they're really prioritizing the pass. And Lamar has seemingly taken another step as a passer. So 7.4K, he's definitely the best quarterback play on the slate. Like you said, there's really only 2 guys in play, and the other one is Taylor Heineke at 5,800. This is probably the best spot that Washington's going to see all season offensively. It's got a 54.5 live total right now. I believe that is the highest on the slate. And Washington, they are 6.5-point home dogs. I've been saying this every single week. The Chiefs' defense is like really horrendous, like really, really bad. They're 32nd DVOA overall, 31st against the pass, 32nd against the run. They're allowing 28 points per game to quarterbacks. That's worse in the league. And they've also allowed the most rushing yards and the second most rushing touchdowns to quarterbacks. I'm sorry. And the nice thing about that is that Heineke's shown he has a little bit of a rushing floor. He's averaged 27.5 rushing yards per game in the games that he has started. But despite that, he's still dropping back on average 36 times a game. We know how bad the Chiefs defense is against the pass. Baker hit them for 11.4 yards per attempt. Herbert hit them for 281 and 4 touchdowns. Jalen Hurts dropped back 48 times for 387 yards and 2 tuds. Then Josh Allen just ripped them for 12 yards per attempt. Now, Heineke is not Josh Allen or Justin Herbert, but I don't think he's much different from Jalen Hurts or Baker Mayfield at this point. And at 5.8K, I think it's just a severe misprice. This is the best defense, the best offensive spot against the defense that the Washington football team is going to see all year. So Heineke is really good as long as Terry McLaurin plays. If Terry McLaurin does not play, you just can't risk it playing Heineke. Their offense will be so depleted. Sounds like McLaurin's going to be fine. He's going to play. It's Lamar and Heineke. There's just simply nobody else to consider.
Yep. Yeah, I'm right there with you with Heineke. If the lineup build, kind of looks right with Heineke in there, I think he's fine. But I prefer to get up to Lamar because we just have a lot of mid-range guys at the running back position. So moving over to running back, like we mentioned at the top, there's about 10 guys in play. And so we had some news come out, and Nick Chubb didn't practice at all this week, and now he's going to be out. So we get Kareem Hunt at home taking on Arizona with a 26.5 implied total. They're 3-point favorites here. Kareem Hunt, even being a backup, he's averaging 18.7 DraftKings points per game. If he does what he's been doing, he's going to get there at 6.2K. He's only been playing 45% of the snaps. I mean, like he's the guy without Nick Chubb. And we saw it last year in games without Nick Chubb. I mean, he's went completely off where he's playing over 90% of the snaps. He already has a 14.7% target share. So, taking on Arizona where they allow 5.1 yards per attempt. I mean, they do not like to stop the run, and that's just too cheap. I think Kareem Hunt is the best running back play on the slate.
Yeah, Kareem Hunt is a lock button, 6.2K, no Chubb. You said he's averaged 11 carries and 4.2 targets a game this year with Chubb, averaging 19 touches a game. I mean, the sky is the limit in this spot. The Cardinals are allowing 5.1 yards per carry. Browns are the best rushing team in the league. They average 5.4 yards per carry as a team. It's highest in the league. They're tops of the league in rushing by a lot, I think. Healthy total, 49.5. The only slight hesitation would be the Browns might be without 3 starting linemen, both centers or both tackles in their center. But even still, at 6.2K, he's going to see 20 touches in this spot. It's going to be a nice shootout, probably. So I just don't know how you don't play him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Another guy I think is a lock this week is Darrell Henderson at 6K. It's a real elite spot for this Rams offense in general. They're 10-point favorites on the road against the Giants. Now, 29.5 implied team total. It's just the spot of spots for a running back. And he's 6K. It's just way too cheap. On the season, he's playing 78% of the snaps. He's averaging 15 carries and 4.9 yards per carry on the year. He's running around on 59% of dropbacks. That's 4th highest in the league. He's averaging over 3 targets a game. That's decent. He's averaging 3 red zone opportunities a game. That's nice. And the Giants just suck against running backs. They're just so bad. They're allowing the 5th most points to running backs in the league. They're allowing 4.8 yards per clip on the ground, 26th DVOA against the run. This spot at 6K, he's just underpriced. He's involved in it. He's a 3-down plus goal line back. The spot that they're 10-point favorites on the road or not. I think they have the highest implied total on the slate. He should be 7K. I'm not fading that. I'm just not. He's just way too cheap.
Yeah, Henderson's one of those guys that you kind of throw him in the same bucket as these other guys like Mixon and Jonathan Taylor. I think I prefer Henderson to those 2 guys just because he's a little more involved in the passing game. But, I mean, this is a beautiful, beautiful matchup for Henderson. Really just comes down to health for him. If he stays healthy, he's kind of been banged up in a couple of these games where he's coming off and only end up playing like 60% of the snaps because he's, coming off with just getting his wind knocked out of him or whatever it is, kind of limping off the field. And Michelle will come in and spell him. But at worst, I mean, this is a 2 running backfield, and Henderson is getting the lion's share of the touches. So if he's healthy and he's on the injury report, he's good to go. And, he's an awesome play. So let's touch on a few more of these guys. So Jonathan Taylor, he's 6,600 at home. He's had that massive game against Baltimore, really on the back of that long screenplay he took to the house, just showing off his elite speed at his size. So 6,600 at home, 10-point favorites, 27 implied total, taking on Houston, the Civ of Houston. We know they're just absolutely horrid. They're not going to stand a chance in this game. Jonathan Taylor is averaging 18.1 DraftKings points per game. He's averaging 17 touches and 3.6 targets per game for 10.5% target share. It's not a terrible target share. 10.5 is not awful at all. He's averaging 105 yards from scrimmage per game. and he's getting the most touches inside the 10 per game in the NFL. He's averaging 2.4 opportunities inside the 10 per game. I mean, that's totally massive, especially when you account for this big total and being 10-point favorites. So his touchdown expectation this game has got to be through the roof. I didn't look at what his prop is on scoring a touchdown anytime in this game, but it's got to be like negative 150. I mean, it's got to be at least minus 150 to score a touchdown. Houston, they allow 4.7 yards per carry. They're 30th DVOA. It's a perfect spot for Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, I'm looking now. Looks like the Colts have been bet up to 10.5-point favorite too. Like, it's another spot, like a 10-point home favorite against a bad team. Like Texans are giving up over 4.7 yards per carry. Jonathan Taylor's his total stud, and he's being used in the passing game now a little bit. So, yeah, I mean, for me, it's Taylor, it's Henderson, and it's Hunt. They're my favorite 3 running back plays on the slate. But there are so many other ones. Like another guy that's in play is Chuba Hubbard at 5.9K. CMC was ruled out today. And it's a pretty decent spot. Minnesota is allowing the 6th most points per game to running backs. They've given up over 4.7 yards per carry on the season. Last week, Chuba saw a monster workload. He had 29 total touches, including 6 targets, which he turned into 5 receptions. Saw 100% of the red zone looks, 80% of the team's carries. Royce Freeman only saw 3 carries on only 19% of the snaps last week, and Robbie Smith has now been cut. And Chuba ran 15 routes on 37 dropbacks, which was the highest that he's seen on the year. So at 5.9K, another game, it's not a terrible game environment. I've been saying it every week. Minnesota's defense is very overrated, in my opinion. So, I mean, he's another guy that's in play. There's just so many running backs in play. It's seemingly every single one on the slate. Like, who's not in play?
Yeah. So up top, Chris McCaffrey, like you just mentioned, is out. So also up top there, you have Austin Eckler up at 7,900. We know what kind of target share he has. Austin Eckler is now a 3-down plus goal line back. He's playing 65% of the snaps. He's averaging 18 touches per game, 5 targets for a 13% target share. That could get even higher. He's averaging 109 yards from scrimmage per game and 1.6 opportunities inside the 10 per game. So he is now their goal line back. They've had 5 team carries inside of the 5-yard line. He's had 4 of them. So he's their guy when they get in close. Austin Eckler is now a 3-down plus goal line back. So that's amazing. And then you get Dalvin Cook coming back from injury. He's off the injury report. He's 7,700 taking on Carolina. We know what kind of usage he gets when he's playing. He's going to get over 20 touches. He's going to get involvement in the passing game. They love using him in the screen game. Only problem is he's taking on the Panthers, who only allow 13.3 Draftkings points per game to opposing running backs. That's like the best in the league. They're 12th DVOA. They only allow 4.2 yards per carry. So, they have a strong defense against running backs, but 7,700 is too cheap for Dalvin's workload if he's fully healthy and he is off the injury report. So there's a lot of guys. I mean, Zeke at 7,100 as a 4.5-point favorite, 27 implied total taking on the Patriots. There's so many guys that are in play.
Yeah, and then you have Darrell Williams at 4.9K, the Chiefs. I mean, you want a piece of the Chiefs offense every single week. Tyreek might sit. Not sure about that yet, but CEH he's on IR. And I believe the Chiefs they have a 31 implied total. They're 7-point favorites against Washington. If you can get a piece of the best offense in the league at 4.9K as the lead dog, maybe he doesn't have the ceiling, but at 4.9K, he's perfectly fine. There's just so many guys. Like, you name a player, he's probably in play. DeAndre Swift is a fine play. I think you hit on Joe Mixon a little bit. He's a fine play. Like, there's so many guys.
Yeah, so to put these guys in order, I think Kareem Hunt is my favorite running back on the slate. Jonathan Taylor, Darrell Henderson, Eckler, Dalvin, Mixon, Darrell, Zeke. It's so hard to put these guys in order. But I think the top 3 plays at running back, I think we can agree on this, are Kareem Hunt, Jonathan Taylor, and Darrell Henderson. I think those 3 are the 3. You agree with that?
Yeah, we're in lockstep there. Those are definitely my 3 favorite guys.
Yeah, so it's definitely we're going to be going running back in the flex. Moving over to wide receiver, I think, so I saw that Mike Williams didn't practice at all this week. So there's a potential chance that he's out. And so let's just start with Keenan Allen at 6,400. This is going to be a fast paced game against Baltimore. Should be high scoring. He's got a great quarterback throwing him the ball with Justin Herbert, just absolutely balling this year. Keenan's averaging 10.6 targets per game for a 26.7% target share. It's solid. The only thing with Keenan is he has an 8.8 ADOT, so it's not. It typically like to see over 10 yards. Start getting down to the 8s and 7s. They're just getting dump offs and little slants, things like that. But he still isn't involved in the red zone. He's averaging 1.8 red zone targets per game. And this Ravens defense is not what they have been. They allow 8.8 yards per target now to opposing wide receivers, and they're 20th DVOA against the pass. So, they're a little bit below average. They're definitely not what they used to be. And if he's going to get Tavon Young in the slot, I mean, Tavon Young's just been absolutely shredded. So he's a good play at 6,400. If Mike Williams is out, I mean, there's no getting around it. You have to play Keenan Allen.
Yeah, I agree. If Mike Williams is in play, Keenan Allen was already a good play. But if Mike Williams is out, I think he's like the wide receiver 1 or 2 on the season so far. He's had a massive target share. Like I just don't know how you don't just lock him in. He's going to avoid Marlon Humphrey. Last year, Humphrey was moving into the slot a lot. Now he's pretty much exclusively playing on the outside. Keenan Allen runs about 60% of his routes in the slot against Tavon Young, who he's flashed in the past, but he's been bad this year. And even if you see some Anthony Averett was good early on. He got shredded last week. He's just a stone lock. There's no Mike Williams, and it seems to be trending in that direction because he was DNP Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So that's definitely a piece of news that we're going to have to be keeping on top of as the weekend progresses. But yeah, he's just so strong. Another guy he's just week in, week out, just a top 3 play on the slate. That's Davante Adams at $9K. Yes, he's expensive, but it's well warranted. On the season, he's averaging 115 yards per game and 24.2 Draftkings points per game. He's leading the league in weighted opportunity, 0.89. He's leading the league in targets with 61. He's leading the league in targets per game, 12.2. He's leading the league in air yards by like 80. And he's leading the league in target share, 38%. Like, mother of God. Like, it's just Davante Adams. Like, you just lock him in. No one's ever going to fight you for playing him, no matter what the price is. Yes, the Bears are 4th DVOA against the pass. Doesn't matter. I don't care. I've heard some chatter about Jalen Johnson this week. I truly could not care less. Adams moves all over the field, and Jalen Johnson plays 91% of his snaps on the left side. If you told me Jalen Johnson was going to shadow Adams for 100% of his routes, I would say I truly do not care. He's the best receiver in the league, and it's just not something that matters to me. When you're getting 38% of the targets on a team whose offense is led by Aaron Rodgers, I'm going to sign up for that. So each and every week, Davante Adams is well in my consideration.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, Adams, he's always in play. 9K is a little expensive on this slate, but he's definitely in play for sure. I want to touch on T. Higgins. So he's down. He's actually the cheapest Bengals wide receiver this week, down at 5,300, taking on Detroit. And so T. Higgins always has a really solid target share. He was coming off that shoulder injury. He was not limited, ran a route on 83% of dropbacks. And he's basically their red zone guy. T. Higgins, he's averaging 1 red zone target per game. It's really solid. Jamar Chase is only averaging 0.2. So I believe he only has 1 on the season. And Detroit, they are just a total sieve through the air. They allow 11.2 yards per target, a 69.5% catch rate. They're the 27th DVOA against the pass. And T. Higgins is averaging 7.3 targets per game in his healthy games he's played. 24.2% target share is a really solid number. And he's got a great quarterback throwing in the ball. with Joe Burrow. So I love T. Higgins in this spot.
He's projecting pretty well, point per dollar. He has no business being cheaper than Tyler Boyd. And yes, Jamar Chase has been a total stud. He's a total alpha. We already knew that. But at 6.7K, the disparity between his price tag and T. Higgins is just too much. 5.3K, like T. Higgins, they got to fix that pricing. There's no way in hell that Tyler Boyd should be priced higher than T. Higgins. So I'm on board there. My personal favorite wide receiver play on the slate is Terry McLaurin at 7.1K. He did get hit with a Q tag today. Rivera said he showed up with a sore hamstring and he held him out of practice out of an abundance of caution, was the quote. So it sounds like he'll be good to go for this week. They're just being extremely cautious with him, but it's definitely something to monitor. If he does suit up and play, again, this is the best spot that the Washington offense is going to see all year. Excuse me. They're 6.5-point home dogs against the worst worst defense in the NFL, the 32nd DVOA. Overall, 31st against the pass. They literally have not given up less than 29 points in a game this season. They're allowing 15 yards per reception to opposing receivers. I believe that's the worst in the league. That is egregious. They're allowing 9.3 yards per pass attempt. That's third worst in the NFL. And Terry McLaurin's just a total stud. He's third in the league in weighted opportunity, 0.77. He's getting 9.8 targets a game. He's got a 30% target share, good for fifth in the league. 588 air yards on the season. That's sixth in the NFL. And he's got a healthy 8 out of 12. So in this game environment, I mean, Terry McLaurin he suits up for such a ceiling performance here. As long as he's healthy and good to go. If he does not play, I'm off of Taylor Heineke altogether. You cannot play him if McLaurin sits. There's just absolutely no way that you could trust that. So if McLaurin goes, he's a really juicy play. You can't get a better matchup than this, and I will certainly be considering it.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. McLaurin is an awesome play if he's healthy and he's out there playing. There's a slight small chance of a re-injury there just with hamstrings, but he's an awesome play though if he's out there and he's fully healthy. I want to touch on the mid-range again, down with Michael Pittman at 5,500. So he's playing 90% of the snaps. He's their alpha wide receiver. Again, the same matchup here as Jonathan Taylor against Houston at home, 27 implied total. Pittman's been an alpha this season. He's averaging 8.6 targets per game for a 25% target share this year, and he's averaging 75 yards per game. 1.2 red zone targets per game. So he's their guy when they get in close. His ADOT's 9.4, which is a solid enough number. And of course, he's taking on Houston, they're just totally terrible. So I like Michael Pittman a lot. I think he's just a solid play at 5,500. I don't think he's flashy. He's not a great play. He's probably not going to go for over 100 yards or anything like that. But I think he's just an all-around good play.
Yeah, I agree. He's a really nice salary relief here. Have to mention the Rams guys too. Cooper Kupp at 7.8K and Robert Woods at 6.1K. Again, one exposure to this Rams offense. They have a 29.5 applied team total, and they're 10-point favorites on the road. Think about the Giants secondary. God, they're bad. They're allowing a 74% completion percentage, which is worse than the league. 7.9 yards per pass attempt is a little worse than league average, but they're 26th DVOA overall and 22nd DVOA against the pass. Cooper Kupp, start there, total freaking stud. 33% target share, third in the NFL. He's averaging over 11 targets per game. He hasn't had less than 10 in a game yet. He's leading the league in red zone targets, and he's second in the league in end zone targets. He is sixth in the league in weighted opportunity. Matt Stafford is in lockstep with him. Like, it's just Kupp. Like, it's Devontae Adams, and then just under him is Cooper Kupp right now. At 7.8K, he's still cheap enough to be considered each and every week, especially in a game where they have such a high team total. And then Robert Woods. We saw a little bit of a resurgence last week. We knew it was coming at some point. He went 12 for 150 on 14 targets. It's really nice to see Woods being involved in the offense again, and he played 98% of the snaps on the season. A healthy 23% target share, that's fine. He's playing 91% of the snaps. He's averaging a red zone target every game. And, at 6.1K, they just didn't adjust his price enough. He's still just too good of a player and too good of an offense and getting too much volume to warrant a 6.1 price tag. So he's always going to be in consideration as long as he remains this cheap. Is he as safe as Cup? Absolutely not. But that's why we're seeing, a $1,700 price difference. So both these guys are well in play. Like, again, I'll say it, the Rams 29.5 implied total, 10-point favorites. If Danny Dimes and the Giants can keep this game any kind of close whatsoever, if they could put any kind of fight up, it'll be a lot better for the passing game. So just two more guys to consider.
Yeah, Robert Woods is like, man, we've been playing him all year long. His price kept dropping and dropping and dropping, and then finally he's not on the main slate on Thursday night, and he goes off. That's just the way things go in fantasy. Robert Woods, the talent I don't think was ever in question. It was just whether the targets are going to start coming his way because he's still a good player. All right. Moving over to the tight end, I think there's two guys that are in play. And, Travis Kelce up at 7K. That's a significant price discount. Typically, we see him, 8.1, 8.2K. He's down at 7K for the best matchup that he's had all year. Kansas City, 31 implied total, fast-paced game. He's averaging a 23.1% target share, 8.4 targets per game. He is Travis Kelce. He's a total stud. Washington's defense is terrible. They're 29th DVOA. They allow a 68% catch rate to opposing tight ends, 7.3 yards per target. Kelce's a great play. The only issue is not with Kelce, it's with getting him in your lineup because if you want to play Kelce, you're going to have to play two tight ends because Ricky Seals-Jones on the other side of this game is a lock. You want to touch on Ricky Seals-Jones because there's no getting away from him in my mind.
This is like literally my ideal punt tight end situation. He's 3K for some reason, which I don't know what the hell happened there. But we talked about it last week. He set up for a great play. He played 98% of the snaps last week. Actually, 98.8% of the snaps to be exact. He saw 8 targets for a 20% share, 3 red zone targets, including 2 end zone targets, and he ran a route on 36 of Heineke's 41 dropbacks. That's 87%. That is just such elite fucking usage. It's unbelievable.
It's crazy for a tight end to have that kind of usage.
And now we have Curtis Samuel and Cam Sims. They're not going to play. De'Ami Brown might play. He stinks. I don't care. And now Terry McLaurin has a Q tag. Man, if Terry McLaurin didn't play, he would seemingly become even juicier if it's even possible. Then the thing about the matchup is that the Chiefs are terrible against tight ends. Fifth worst against tight ends. They're allowing 17.9 points per game. That's 5th worst in the league. They're allowing 15 yards per reception to tight ends this year. That doesn't even seem possible. And they've allowed the most yards overall to tight ends on the season. So I don't know how you don't just play him. He's 3K. He's going to play 98% of the snaps again. He's going to run a route on close to 90% of dropbacks, if not more. And it's the best spot that Washington's seen all year. Like, I don't know how you don't play him. Like, I literally don't know how.
Yeah, they basically – the question is, if Logan Thomas was 3K, would you play him? That's the question because they're giving Ricky Seals-Jones the exact same role that Logan Thomas had, and he's 3K. So in the best game environment on the slate at home, you just play him. He even has a 10 ADOT. Like, he's not getting just like little shitters over the middle, for 4 or 5 yards like Tyler Conklin or Austin Hooper or something like that. He's actually getting downfield targets. He's only started 2 games and he's averaging 0.8 red zone targets per game, which is really a pretty solid number.
They had 3 last week.
So, yeah, Ricky Seals-Jones is the best 3K play I've ever seen. Like, this is the best 3K punt that we've ever had. There's no way we're not playing this guy. I've messed around with some builds, messing around with Kelsey and Ricky Seals Jones. Just because Kelsey is an amazing value at 7K, I think that's a great price.
And Tyreek might not suit up. We think he
Yeah,
will, but he
right.
might not.
If Tyreek is out, Kelsey and Ricky Seals Jones would both be. I think you could definitely play lines with both of those guys. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much it. So tight end, it's pretty straightforward. It's Ricky Seals Jones, it's Travis Kelsey, and then if you want to get a little cute, you can play Mark Andrews, who's also an awesome play in his own right at 5,200. But we know how the mid range of tight ends has treated us, and it's not good. Like you either pay for Kelsey or you pay down. That's tight end. Quarterback is pretty straightforward for us. It's Lamar Jackson, and if McLaurin plays, Taylor Heineke. Running back is a cluster. Our top three guys are Kareem Hunt, Jonathan Taylor, Darrell Henderson. Other than that, there's a lot of really good plays at running back. You can kind of, pick your own flavor, what you want to do at running back, but that's going to determine who makes money, who loses money. It's going to be the running back position. Wide receiver, T. Higgins, Terry McLaurin, Cooper Kupp, Keenan Allen, Devontae Adams, Robert Woods, Michael Pittman. All these guys are good plays. So I think we did our job pretty solid here, Scott. What do you think?
Yeah, I like it. And just to end with windmills, if Terry McLaurin plays, I just think he's just a lock for a windmill. There's just no way around it for me. Like I'm just enamored with this spot. Outside of him, low ownership, I think DJ Moore could have a real explosion here against a really bad Minnesota secondary. He's not to be owned. He's not really in consideration for cash, but just in general, I think it's a really nice, potential explosion spot for him. And then, I think we talked about it offline a little bit. Brandon Cooks suits up really well too. It's just he has a Davis Mills problem.
Yeah. I think my windmill's got to be Ricky Seals air yards. Like it's got to be Ricky Seals air yards. The dude's gonna fucking smash. He's a wide receiver playing tight end, running around on like 90% of dropbacks, playing 99% of the snaps, like against Kansas City with potentially Terry McLaurin at 3K. Just stop. Just stop. He's the best play on the slate. Yeah, Ricky Seals air yards. He's going for 2 tutties this week at 3K. We love him. We love him. All right. So with that, that's going to do it for episode 35 of the Print Fest CFS podcast. We'll be back on Monday to break down how we did. I can guarantee we're both going to be having Ricky Seals Jones in our lineups. But until then, good luck, everybody.